want to know why Shanghai is so rich. What does it do?
Yeah.
I know. I mean, okay, what do you do there? I know that it's
Yeah.
your family business, and obviously it's going to make a lot of money. Otherwise, you wouldn't move to China. And
Yeah.
why Shanghai is rich? I mean, biggest port, but anything else that makes it rich?
Yeah, let me just jump in for like 2 minutes here to explain the historical background of Shanghai. Why is it so important? Um, so before, for a very long history, the eastern coastline of China is the richest part of China. The weather is good, the farming is good. So a lot of the cultural developments for today's Chinese culture is actually originated from Shanghai too. But also at the same time, because Shanghai or the Shanghai area is at the coastline and it's actually right at the tip of the Changjiang River. It actually it's like biggest port in China for the longest time. That actually receive a lot of like foreign culture influence too. So the Shanghai sort of local culture is very custom for doing business, trading, and so during the 80s when China opens up, and the 90s and then 2000, that area really strive and developed, and a lot of the inland people who was looking for better opportunities, they all moved to Shanghai. And yeah, so that's why Shanghai developed this kind of culture and traditions to do business trading, and it just keep going as China economy continue to develop. So there are
Mm-hmm.
trading, there's like banking. Shanghai is a cluster of banking and trading in Shanghai.
Yeah.
You know,
And also
sorry.
just to kind of fill in on that too, a lot of people, it's very common knowledge now, a lot of people think of Beijing as the government seat, and also the overall Chinese culture. It's preserved in Beijing. So a lot of the arts, like opera and everything, is in Beijing, whereas in Shanghai, they think of it more as a commercial city. So
Mm,
that's the distinction that a lot of Chinese people make about Shanghai versus
yeah,
Beijing. Both are immensely huge cities, but just culturally, just people are just very different there.
Mm.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
this is what I've heard. Shanghai was bred differently. Government pours certain lot of money in China, in Shanghai itself, to develop the cities. Also, people invested a lot, and it's almost like there's a China and there's a Shanghai that has the mind of its own, and kind of different from average China. And I think Alex can help me with the insights on behavior, like people, how people look at the West, how people look at the business, and how they, behavior, schooling, raising family. Just want to hear certain aspects of how they are, compare Shanghai people to Chinese people. And what I'm
Yeah.
trying to get here is a driver to what kind of behavior to drive
I
Shanghai forward.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, Marco, but I think a lot of people, the tradition, the reputation that Shanghai people have is that they're very commercial, like
Mm,
they're there to do business, um, like and they're very practical people in terms of like doing business and stuff. Whereas in Beijing, because it's especially in the north where it's cold and everything. Somehow people are like, you always hear of the 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 temperament of the Beijing people is a
mm,
lot more like a lot more how do you say it? A lot more rugged, and a lot
mm,
more like straightforward and stuff. Shanghainese people are a little bit more like they're able to they're able to it's just different. Like they're more, I wouldn't say politically correct, especially in a different sense, right? But they're a little bit more how do you say it? Um, like they're able to they're better at they're more prone to do business, right?
yeah. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, like and Shanghainese culture also bled into Hong Kong too, because in the 60s, a lot of the Shanghainese immigrants come to Hong Kong, and a lot of actually Hong Kong culture, such as mahjong and all the other things, came from Shanghai. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but
I think
go ahead.
I think I would add to this that a very overall, like, oversimplified kind of explanations about these different regions. People will always say like Beijing is a capital city. That's actually like the cultural center of China, vastly because it has been capital of China since Qing Dynasty and the end of Ming Dynasty. So you can imagine for the last 600 years, China Beijing has been China's capital, except for a very brief time in Nanjing, but then majority of the time is Beijing. So Beijing kind of have this, capital, China culture, cultural arts kind of center or political center. Whereas in Shanghai, it's a port. People do a lot of business, so a lot of banking business went to Shanghai. Whereas in Guangdong, the weather is good, and there's a lot of factories there. And then these factories cluster in Guangdong, and that's why we have today Shenzhen, which is actually the technology hub of China, because people who go there to start a tech company, they can often find like different partnerships within 10 kilometers radius. So it really enhance the technology advancement. So I would kind of oversimplify the summary that Shenzhen, Guangdong, it's like the tech hub. Shanghai is the financial hub, whereas Beijing is the cultural hub.